Let me rephrase my
So now we're live.
Chris, can you hear us?
Take that as a no.
Chris, can you hear us?
Okay.
Not getting audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can copy.
All right, I guess it's my Bluetooth that won't recognize the mic.
Okay, since we're all here, I'm going to go ahead and open up the study session. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Salina City Commission study session on the city manager hiring process and the brochure.
That's right. If you go home and leave myself.
Okay, we've got audio coming in. All right. I'd like to.
Your mic on?
Don't feel bad. Me either.
No, that was bleed through from the other room.
TV or this?
Oh.
Mr. Lowe, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, fantastic. Can everybody hear him? Good deal. I think we're good.
Okay. Well, Mr. Mayor, would you like me to start?
Yeah, ball's in your court. That'll work fine.
All right, well, I've got emails from two of you with some suggested edits. I thought I would go over with you the ones that I've already done, and then the ones that I think need a little bit of either clarification or discussion or some kind of consensus with all of the group. Does that sound okay?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, I'll go over Commissioner Longbine's suggested edits first. We'll start on page 2 under recreation. Mr. Longbine mentioned that he thought that 3 complexes and new sports complex were repetitive. So we removed the new sports complex and just incorporated that in with the 3 complexes. So that change has been made. The education, the names of the schools have all been adjusted to the University of Kansas School of Medicine and Nursing. I think actually Commissioner Davis had something with that as well. So that the schools of medicine and nursing, so that's been done. Kansas State University, Salina Aerospace and Technology has been done, and Salina Area Technical College. So those changes have been done.
Can the, what's that called, ampersand sign? Can the ampersand sign be changed to the word and? 'Cause they are 2 distinct institutions. They share a building, but they are, we're saving having to write University of Kansas School of again.
He just has.
That's fine, I'll take out the ampersands. Okay, the next page was, and I'll come back and do Commissioner Davis, yours in a second. I just figured we'd do Bill's and then come back and do yours and we can discuss.
All right, thank you.
And I did send you an email with my explanations on that in response to your email today. So when we talk about page 3, Commissioner Longbine had suggested that the bottom 2 bullet points under housing were duplicative. They're not actually duplicative because one mentions grants and one mentions the project. We actually just combined those 2 bullets into one by mentioning the grants and the projects in one bullet. So that's been done. And then he wanted to add the concept of the Magnolia Village Apartments project that's coming online in July 26th, so that bullet point has been added. That's it for page 3. Page 4, this is one we can kind of knock out because both Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Longbine had some comments on this. I wanted to make sure that you all knew the major employers come straight from the material you gave me at the last, that came from the bond issuance. So that was the only information available to me. It was suggested to add Great Plains / Kubota Manufacturing and One Vision Aviation. Those are not listed in anything that I have access to. I'm happy to add them. He wanted to, and both commissioners were concerned that Walmart, being one of our major employers, gave the wrong impression. I don't mind removing Walmart, but honestly, that they're on the list in the official documents given to me, so that's why they're there. But if you all would like them removed,
I'm not sure
happy to remove it.
which official document you went to. When I went and looked up the top 10 employers of Salina, I came up with Salina Regional Health Center, Unified School District 305, Great Plains Manufacturing, which also needs to say a division of Kubota now, Schwann's Company, Strite Manufacturing, City and County of Salina, it'd be City of Salina and County in Saline County, Vortex Global, St. Francis Ministries, as mentioned nowhere, Crestwood Design Center, and then One Vision Aviation. That's,
the document is the one that Mr. Benson gave me. I know you can't read that. Mr. Benson provided to me. It was major employers. The source for that in the bond issuance was the Salina Chamber of Commerce. I suppose you could find all kinds of places to find different employers. So, like I said, I don't mind adding Great Plains. So we can make those changes.
Okay.
Just wanted you to understand where
Commissioner
I got
Hoppick just asked, who is Mr. Benson? Who?
the city attorney.
Oh, Bingston.
Yes.
Thought you said Benson.
yeah. That's,
I thought I said
How
Benson,
did
but
you get in on this?
That's the document I brought down to you in your study session.
Okay. Here's my comment. Walmart, that's setting the impression we got a distribution center or something. We do not. We got a store. St. Francis Ministries, someone does a search on that, they're going to come up with a major scandal that does not show well.
and they don't have that many.
I'll take them. They're up already. I've scratched those two, and I added
in my
Great
draft,
Plains and One Vision.
In my draft I had this morning, still had St. Francis and Walmart.
Oh, I think I told her just to add the other two until we had a discussion,
Okay.
until you knew where the information was coming. So fine, St. Francis and Walmart are gone.
And should we be the city,
It should be City of Salina and Saline County.
Saline County?
Well, I was trying to save 2 bullet points for one, with the city and county both being on that list.
You could just say city and county.
Well, people,
believe we did.
I'm not from here, but the first lesson I learned was that it's Salina and Saline County. They are two. They are pronounced distinctively different from each other, and it'll ruffle somebody's feather, even though it'll take up more ink. But
It's wrong. It doesn't ruffle it, it's wrong.
Separate the two.
yep.
Yes. And they can be together, it could be City of Salina and Saline County, but
Got it.
that's how it needs to be written out. And Vortex should be Vortex Global, is how their full name is now.
The line of Vortex Global, or just Vortex?
Vortex Global, GLOBAL.
Okay. Great. Okay, those changes are done. Let's see here. Commissioner Longbines again. Government. This goes to the accurate number of employees. Again, I used language given me directly by your HR director, for the language is exactly what they use in their postings of over 500. I'm not sure that there's value in distinguishing how many actual employees there are versus what are budgeted. It is information to give the candidates an idea of the size of the workforce. Coming up with an exact number, that number could be changed tomorrow if they hire a police officer. It might not be 464, it might be 480 in 2 weeks if they hire some positions. So I think leaving it at 500 is fine for purposes of information to give the candidate an idea of the size of the workforce that they're supervising. But I'll use whatever language you want.
I don't know what was given to you.
Well,
464, but they're budgeted for and then they don't budget for an exact number over 500 because they do a ratio for, there was a long explanation about a paragraph for how they budget it. They don't actually budget an exact number of positions. And so Natalie was kind enough to just say, we always say that we are 500 plus employees.
If that's information you're given from HR, then I'm fine with that.
Just a sidebar, it does tie to the approved staffing table.
Yeah.
well, it seems like the approximation is suitable here, I mean, because it does.
Yeah.
We really have 350 seasonal?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I know, I thought that number was amazing as well. I was like, wow. So that was that one. Am I okay to move on that one?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, page 6. Page 6 under the city manager office, there was a bullet that you all actually wanted included some discussion of the experience with the environmental remediation on the Schilling project. So that was specifically added to give the person an idea that that project would be ongoing. Commissioner Longbine was suggesting removing it. It was added because you all wanted to add it when we spoke last. So I did not remove that until you had a chance to discuss it. The other suggested edit there was to replace with the daily detail of office duties. And I would not suggest doing that. The reason why I would not include daily office duties is well, I've been a city manager for 15 years, but I don't know what my daily office duties were. I don't remember a day when they were the same. So I don't know that it would add any value to the candidate to understand. Moreover, we'll have sophisticated candidates who have experience as city managers. They probably don't need a recitation of the daily duties of office work, so or that kind of thing. So I did not make a change on that suggestion, but I'm happy to
My
write whatever
issue
you
with this,
want.
Chris, is I think that statement, the environmental contamination, is going to scare people off, which most of the heavy lifting work is done on that, as far as working out that agreement. That's not a daily thing. That's really utilities department that's overseeing that project.
Like I said, you all wanted a discussion that you said you wanted to let them know that that was a project that's ongoing and that they would have to deal with, and so that's why it was added.
I guess if
What
it
do you
was
guys
a
think?
recruitment brochure to get somebody to move here, it might scare them. What's wrong with your water? But it does. It just shows, it reflects the complexity of issues. Or at least need to be able to supervise the department head who is supervising that. I just thought that our city manager's office would have something a little more glamorous as a.
To be honest with you, I mean, I'll write whatever you want to write, but I don't think it scares anybody off, nor do I think it's a negative connotation. I mean,
Sean?
there are many, many communities that have environmental remediation projects that are ongoing. As Mr. Bengtson mentioned, that this one's been going on for 4 city managers. I don't think there's anything in that bullet that would scare somebody off or give them a negative connotation. It's not unusual for there to be cleanup areas, and so so it's whatever you want to do with it is fine with me. I'll just tell you that it wouldn't concern me as an applicant, but if you all think it conveys the wrong message, then I'm happy to remove that bullet, but I still would not recommend putting daily office duties in there.
And we are under the departmental highlights tab right now, right?
Can we just go through this document? We're jumping around. This is totally,
Well, I just want to make sure I was
yeah, I mean,
reading it at the right place. Are we under the departmental highlights section? Or-
Correct.
All right, I just thought, as a highlight of the department, I thought there may be something a little more glamorous or exciting. That looks more like a duty than a highlight, or job function.
I think something more appropriate would be work with the deputy city manager, assistant city manager, and executive assistant. That's who's in that office.
That would probably be under typical duties.
Well, maybe I'm making this too simple, but I would assume that anybody applying for this job is going to be able to surmise that they're going to be interacting with a deputy city manager. They're going to be, I mean, I feel like, and I'm going to defer to Mr. Lowe, because this is what he does for a living. Is it typical for a brochure or pamphlet to have like 7 pages worth of detail in it, or are we getting too mired in all the data? And
I'm all for comprehensiveness, and we typically like to try and keep the brochures to 6 pages, but there was enough content here that you all wanted that it pushes it to 8. I don't think that that's necessarily problematic, but you know, you risk them, you know, losing the more important pieces just because there's so much minutia that's put in there.
understood. Thank you.
So do you all want to leave this contamination
Okay, well,
thing?
I guess if I read it now as an accomplishment of the city manager's office, it would make more.
It's not an
Make more
accomplishment,
sense.
it's just a highlight. That could be, in my mind, good or bad. I mean, just something that they do.
Yeah.
That's kind of bigger than
I like
other
that.
places.
Like I say, all the heavy manager's office stuff is done on that.
do we know that for sure? I mean, I think it's something they're gonna have to deal with. I mean, I don't know why we're trying to
Yeah.
hide it. It's gonna be an ongoing process.
I wouldn't want to be accused of trying to obfuscate that information.
I think you're overthinking
That's
that.
gonna
All
scare
right,
someone
let's move
off.
on.
Yeah.
We might not want them anyway.
I think it's a
All
good
right,
point.
and we're almost done with most of the corrections, and then we can go back page by page, Commissioners, so that we're not jumping around. So, but I wanted to make sure that you knew what things had been suggested to me and what edits I already have. That way we're not duplicating effort. That was my thinking on that. But Commissioner Longbine also said on page 6 that he thought the budget highlights with the amounts of the various funds and their budgets was confusing. I don't agree that it's confusing. I think that any city manager knows the difference between governmental funds, enterprise funds, and special revenue funds, and they will want to know the size of the budgets of each of those. And I don't believe that's confusing to a manager that's looking at the budget. So it's just kind of a idea to give them the size of the budget that is passed in a typical year, or at least the most recent year. So I didn't change anything on that. Page 8, Commissioner Longbine, this would be the page on the airport. We were going to add the Airport Authority website, so that's already been done. That is one of the edits that she has to make, or it's been communicated to her. Again, we got a complaint about the picture of the airplane. And Commissioner Longmine did find a couple from the site that he liked better, but I tended not to necessarily agree with that. The picture, it would be on page 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the airplane with the sunset. It's got the United States on it. He had wanted to replace that with a picture of a major military plane and a small plane, or Atlas Air, which I've never heard of, a picture of Atlas Air 737 taking off. I actually like the current picture better from a artistic standpoint. The other two that were suggested, I don't think are quite as pleasing to the eye, or they don't have as much color, or so I didn't make that change, but I'm happy. I don't care whatever picture you all want. I just thought that was one that you might all want to discuss.
They were cool pictures though, weren't they, Chris?
Oh yeah, I'm just saying that was the only reason.
Transport and
Yeah.
a Cessna 172.
Yeah, the only thing, and I guess now that I look at it, I realize that's United States and not United Airlines. Do you have another, like, 3 feet of the fuselage that you can?
There's pictures out there that say United. We had one just say United Airlines.
Yeah, which that's a nice picture.
Right, I mean, and even for airline,
I don't-
Got the American flag. I just thought it was
I don't think
an
a
attractive
picture is going to sway a candidate one way or the
Over there.
other. So can we move on?
But-
so we know we have jet service now.
I got that written. I got stuff written down on that.
Well, and
Okay,
while we're on,
those were the edits done and discussion for those. Commissioner Davis sent me some this afternoon. I'll go through those very quickly because I don't disagree with the majority of his edits, because they were mostly corrections on names and things like that. I'll just take you back again to page 2 on recreation. Page 2. Yeah, there it is. Page 2, recreation. He wanted to add to the first paragraph, last sentence, Salina maintains state-of-the-art city baseball fields funded by guest tax, and he wanted to add in a public-private partnership of local baseball supporters. I have no problem with that. Happy to make that change.
I concur.
The second paragraph, we spelled Smoky Hill wrong, so we will correct that by removing the E. And then his discussion of, he thought that we should add the large undertaking to restore, and his language was flow through the original river channel through the city, and I've got no problem with that edited as well. I actually like that one a lot. Anybody have a problem with that?
No.
Okay, the next one was just adding the schools, plural, of medicine and nursing, since they're distinct. I got no problem with that, so that's been communicated. On page 3, entertainment, capitalizing Department of Arts and Humanities. I have 0 problem with that either.
You had Pam
So
over this, didn't
that's
you?
done. Second paragraph, change community symphony to the Salina Symphony. I've got 0 problem with that as well. Third paragraph, he wants to add, consider adding at the end, in the words of a former city manager, the arts are unavoidable in Salina.
You may be hearing that soon as a.
Is that and I have no problem adding that
It was
that
from
sentence.
Jason Gage.
That would be the third paragraph under entertainment. The last sentence, we would just add that sentence that I just read to you would be the last sentence of that paragraph.
Okay.
I have zero problem with that. Then major employers, we've covered that. So we'll have those major employers fixed. Let's see. Business and commerce. The section on business and commerce, Commissioner Davis did not like the being strategically located language. Asked that be reworked, and I just reworded it as, since Salina is located in the strategic center of the United States, its location offers a lot of advantages for business.
Yeah, let me explain. What I wanted to do was, we're strategically located, but we're in the geographic center. If I think of a strategic center in the U.S., I'm thinking Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, Long Beach. I mean, our strategic positioning is because we're in the geographic center. Because otherwise, there's not much strategic about
I concur.
the intersection of these two highways here. I mean,
Got access to major highways for transit and all kinds of other industries that would find it to be strategically located. But again, that's language that comes straight from things on websites in the community. So if you want, I'll write whatever you want.
No, I was recommending saying we are strategically located, but our center is, I just thought was a geographic center, not a strategic center.
Yeah.
You could just put as, since Salina is strategically located in the United States, its location offers a lot of advantages for business.
Because we are the biggest city,
I think,
closest to the geographical center of this country.
grammar-wise, the strategic center and geographic center, I think geographic is correct.
And because of that, we are strategically located.
That is why we're strategic.
So I'll put, since Salina is strategically located at the geographic center.
That sounds better to me.
Does that work for you, Trent?
Yep.
I think that'll work.
Green, Mr. Davis, on my explanation of what K Aries is, because to be honest with you, I didn't even understand what it was when you all explained it to me. So he asked that description of that project be beefed up a little bit. So I took the definition straight off their website, and the change would be such as the relocation of the K Aries project, a facility to house world-class education, research, and innovation in the evolving industry of spatial computing.
Okay, at least I know for sure what that is not as opposed to the other one. Okay,
Right.
I like that.
So yeah, I agree. When you can't understand something, it's really hard to describe it in English. So I apologize for that. But so I think that does take care of that. Then the last couple comments were pretty simple. Under the government section, which would be page 5, Commissioner Davis wanted the language, serves as the city's chief executive and administrative officer. He said, consider adding with annual performance reviews by the city commission. I have no problem with that. And then finally, Commissioner Davis, I thought about your proposed language on responsible for recommending measures in the city manager's office versus drafting. I think I sent in my email to you, I said, I would recommend leaving recommending because honestly, drafting of ordinances or policies is not usually done by a city manager. He might direct that we draft an ordinance out of the city attorney's office or a policy drafted maybe by a department head for a particular project or area of emphasis. So I think recommending is fine.
Okay, sounds good.
And I wouldn't recommend switching it to drafting, but I know you didn't feel strongly about it either way. I'm just saying my opinion is recommending is fine.
It sounds better hearing you read it. Okay.
And then the last line was Commissioner Davis didn't like including the removal of all city employees as a part of the city manager function. And I disagree. I think removal does need to be in there because candidates will want to know what authority they have in hiring and terminations. And so if we're going to mention that they're responsible for the appointment, we ought to make sure that we're clear to them that they also do have the power of removal of those employees as well under their supervision.
Is there a nicer sounding word? Just seemed, boy, that's the last thing we put in that paragraph, and you can let them, yeah. But I understand what you're saying. I was reading, so, whoa, okay. I mean, I know it's true, that person does have that authority, but
I mean,
I'll take your...
We try and avoid termination because that's a really negative word.
Now, if it's
So
something that they're looking
dismissal.
for, if it's something that the candidate would be looking for, leave it in. Because again, you know,
Okay.
this is being written to a very narrow audience, and if that's something they're looking for, then it should be in there.
Okay, well then I'll just leave that one alone. Okay, so now if you want to go back and we can just go through the whole thing page by page and add anything else, I'm happy to do that if that's what you would like to do.
Are you there, or Commissioner Hopper, did you have some notes?
Yeah, I do. Under recreation, I thought we were a little redundant. I rewrote part of this. I think that one paragraph, again, I had Smoky Hill River Renewal Project, had Smoky misspelled. This is how I kind of rewrote part of that. I have down, the city maintains 26 parks, including 3 athletic complexes, an 18-hole golf course, and a 6-hole par 3 course, period. Kenwood Cove Aquatic Center, owned and operated by the city of Salina, is the region's premier municipal water park. New paragraph, Salina has a long history of public-private partnerships to provide quality of life initiatives for the community. Example of such collaborations include upgraded baseball-sized softball fields, a soccer complex, new tennis and pickleball courts, and the Salina Fieldhouse. I just think that reads much cleaner than a lot of that in there. I think those other 2 paragraphs are just kind of...
I agree.
I like that.
So what I would...
If you could write that down for me and send it to me, I will just use that language.
Yep, it's typed out here, and I think I would replace paragraph 1 and 3 with that, and then I'd move paragraph 2 to the back, since that's something that's yet to come, the Smoky Hill River project.
Okay, so making sure that I'm
Okay.
clear, you're saying get rid of the entire first paragraph and put it with your language?
That's what
Are you saying you don't like the lovers of the outdoors will find opportunities exploring nearly 700 acres of parks and green spaces?
Kinda. I'll say it for
Yeah, yeah. I would take out the first paragraph and the third paragraph and
substitute
those 2 paragraphs.
All right, if you send it to, so you want
Okay.
the first one is entirely gone, and I'll go with how you read it, or how you wrote it, and I'll put it in there.
Okay.
And I'll move the second paragraph to the last.
Okay,
And you'll have those 3 paragraphs, correct?
Yes.
I can scan that.
Okay, if you can,
Send that to
if
him.
you can send me, because
Yeah.
you read faster than I could write, so if I can have that in writing, I will probably get that right. I'll have a better shot at getting it right anyway.
No, he thinks it's in, he counted the 3rd paragraph.
Well, I have 2 here. I have 2
Oh,
paragraphs.
you have 2?
Yeah,
Okay, yours is
yeah,
in 2. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, he said, I did catch the parent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can you just email that whole document to him?
Yeah, I'll just send it.
And
I'll
I've got
scan
other
it.
stuff here too, we'll see what he says.
If you just hand me that paper, I'll scan it with my phone and send it to him right
Okay,
now.
well, I got other stuff here.
Okay,
See what comes up.
sorry, a little too presumptuous there.
Okay,
These tech savvy people.
So I'm just gonna make a note. Michael is in charge of Parks and Recreation now. Okay, okay, so yeah, as soon as I get that, I can make those changes. No problem.
okay. I had the change with the names of the schools also, so that's correct. Are we ready to move on?
I believe
Give me
so.
one more second to get my notes here right on this. Okay. Yep, we're ready.
Yeah, under education, I'm fine as long as those names of the schools have been changed.
They are, I've got them down.
Okay, perfect. I had those changes.
Anybody else have any modifications?
Were you finished?
You
Yeah.
done, you
Oh,
done, Mike?
Okay, yeah, there's one on page 8.
Oh, I'm not done.
Oh,
I'm just
that's
done with
what
that
I was-
section.
oh, okay.
No. No, no.
No, my mistake.
You.
Okay. Wow, I thought you had more than that, but okay.
Yeah, I thought, I was a little disappointed in you.
Well, for a second, that he was done.
You ready to go?
I'm ready. I'm just waiting for.
I think.
Oh, are you waiting on me?
I am.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was waiting. I didn't know. The under entertainment, I don't know if that should be called entertainment. Or it should be like arts and culture. I don't know. Just something to think about. I rewrote part of that. It just didn't flow very well for me. I'm going to read what I wrote, and with a little bit of help from the Arts and Humanities Director. It says, Salina is renowned for its vibrant art scene, being the only community in Kansas with a dedicated city department of arts and humanities. The community boasts concerts, theater, museums, festivals, galleries, studios, and public art, enhancing the local quality of life. Highlights include museums, a professional symphony, the Stiefel Theater, the Garage Automotive Museum, Theater Salina, and the Rolling Hills Zoo. Popular events such as privately funded Sculpture Tour Salina and the Boom Mural and the Street Art Festival showcase community engagement and the value of the arts. The Smoky Hill River Festival, a 49-year tradition, attracts over 60,000 visitors annually. Salina's arts and culture compared to cities with 150,000 plus residents, with both public and private entities enhancing programs, education, and facilities.
I definitely like that first. I like it all. That first paragraph flows well. Is taking out Smoky Hill Museum one of 11 nationally accredited museums?
I had in here also, we could add, among Kansas's 11 nationally accredited museums are the Smoky Hill Museum and the Salina Art Center. I just didn't know if we need to go that far.
If you ask the directors of the centers, yeah. I mean, I think it sounds nice.
Yeah, I had that
They
in there,
work
but I
hard.
took that out thinking that was maybe more than we needed.
It's okay for us to mention anything about murals in a public document right now?
No.
I'm just asking.
I say no.
Is
Oh.
there an opinion on that?
In terms of what Mr. Hoppinger just read,
Yeah.
could you read that again, please?
I put on here, popular events such as privately funded Sculpture Tour Salina and the Boom Mural and Street Art Festival showcase community engagement and the value of the arts.
I would think that would be appropriate.
Okay.
In that is referring to that specific event, which
Yeah.
is a thing.
Okay.
We just did it, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I like it.
I just think that condenses a lot of that. So, I can scan you that also.
Do I have no idea how you want that all put together, so you just send me that section and I'll swap it out for the
Okay.
one that I was previously provided by the Departments of Arts and
Perfect.
Humanities.
Okay,
I mean, that's language that's in there is all what was given to me, almost verbatim.
What do y'all think about arts and culture instead of
entertainment.
entertainment? Sounds a little classier, actually. I mean, everybody's got entertainment. Only the select few have arts and culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, that works
We're
for me.
talking about
It's done.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, housing. The paragraph, the first paragraph says an example is a new multifamily housing project at Magnolia and I-35 expected to be completed in early 2026, which we kind of talk about now. I think you added that down below as a bullet point, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. What I would like to replace that sentence with is something to the extent of the city of Salina, along with their community partners, approached the state of Kansas for help with its housing needs. The city was successful in securing $25 million to help fund the multifamily housing project located at Magnolia and I-35.
Yeah, you'll have to send that one to me. I
mean,
couldn't
I
write
just-
as
I
fast
just-
as you were reading.
Yeah, I just think we ought to talk
Yeah,
about
I think that's a good change. I'm fine with it.
Okay. Oh, did I have somewhere in here, we used the word affordable housing, was that?
Yeah, same, that first paragraph, second.
Yeah, I would,
line down.
that's all right, but I saw the city works hard to streamline housing, private housing, just a second. seemed like I saw it somewhere else. I saw it, maybe it came out, but I liked workforce housing instead of affordable housing. I can't remember, maybe I have it highlighted here later, we'll see, so. Okay, that's all I had on housing.
So you want to strike affordable and put workforce in there?
I don't know, fair. Because if, the thing that bothers me about affordable is different to everybody.
It's come up in conversations
I
in
just
previous
like-
meetings.
I like-
It's- Yeah,
To fair and I don't know if fair. We're trying to get workforce housing. Some people think it's affordable and some people think it's not. I don't know if that's a bad term or
Well,
not.
workforce is becoming a dirty 9-letter word. I mean, the way it's used, it's, I've just come to not like the term. But I know what it means, but, you know, any housing's affordable depending which income is.
That's right.
it's
Yeah.
definitely a relative term.
And I think what we have is diversity from starter homes to, you know,
Yeah, I'd
Well,
like,
workforce, I mean, to me, that's,
I would suggest this. Affordable actually has a technical meaning in the business, okay? So affordable is ones that are eligible for federal funding or assistance, or federal programs that are instituted for either rent stabilization or other things to make housing, quote unquote, affordable. I wouldn't recommend workforce housing. I would leave affordable, but if you want to add a sentence that talks about Salina's been aggressive in providing housing options at all levels of affordability.
I thought we had that
I
in
mean,
there.
something like that.
I think we have that in there. That's why I like the last sentence there. It says, with the growth of industry and jobs in the area, the city is committed to ensuring a wide array of housing options to meet the needs of the community. I like that sentence.
Just leave.
So I think you're fine if you
Let
just
that-
strike the sentence on the example and add
Yeah.
the sentence that you dictated
Right.
earlier.
I think so too. Okay,
Commissioner.
I just want to make
And then
sure.
leave, and then that last sentence covers
Yeah.
that, yeah. And plus, if you also look below, some of those successes are projects that are doing things that aren't affordable housing, that are other classes of housing. So I think you're giving the flavor to them that it's not just we're building Section 8 housing, right?
Right. I mean, we're not building these. Yeah. Okay.
But I think we're conveying that okay
Okay.
if we just make that one change to that section.
if any of you looked, he added this Magnolia Village website. If any of you looked at it,
I have
it shows really, really
it.
good.
Good. Okay, under business and commerce, I did have a change to the last sentence on the second paragraph. I like the sentence to read more like, the Salina Airport offers daily nonstop jet service to and from Chicago, Denver, and Houston.
Yeah.
Daily, nonstop, say that again?
The Salina Airport offers daily, nonstop jet service, I think it's important to put jet service in there, to and from Chicago, Denver, and Houston.
I'd say
Yeah.
regional jet. That's what they are, regional.
I don't think that adds anything. That's just,
Yeah, just leave it as jet service, yeah. And I'm glad that Commissioner Davis had you address the virtual employment training. I think that what you read was much better. I do have a question about the third paragraph. I'm not quite sure I follow a strong agricultural economy that supplies local food processors and beverage makers and creates strong demand for industries such as agricultural equipment manufacturing.
Yeah, I forgot to underline that one the second time through. That, I don't know about the beverage makers.
Yeah,
Consider Swans doesn't get most of its stuff from there
Yeah,
anyway.
I think what I like is the first paragraph reading, Salina enjoys a diverse economy that includes, instead of several, includes manufacturing interests, both large and small. Because several sounds like we got to set just a couple. I put that economy includes, take out several on that first paragraph, or first sentence.
Mhm.
And I don't know what I want to put in the place of that paragraph, but I would
You
like.
just put a strong agriculture economy, comma, and then strike the rest of that sentence.
I don't. Or would that be a good place to put in there to talk about the local growth in Schwann's, Kubota, One Vision, Vortex? Write a paragraph about that.
Well, the
To
sentence.
be honest with you, I think you mentioned those. I think if you start mentioning certain businesses and you don't mention others, that can create some heartache and heartburn.
Yeah, because I know
for
there's,
those that
there's
don't get
Repco
mentioned.
also. Yeah, I've thought of that. I'm just trying to think how.
Well, I don't think our local economy creates the strong demand for the agricultural equipment.
Yeah, I think we need to.
Because most of
Well,
what.
that's what I'm saying. We
most
just
of what
ended
we're
in
building is
agriculture
being
economy and
shipped out.
strike the rest.
Yeah,
But a lot of our economy is ag-based.
Well, say a strong agriculture economy.
yeah,
Put something in there, we'll see what, yeah.
period. Yeah.
If the hail doesn't take out the wheat crop.
All right, well, I'm striking the rest of that, and then we'll just
Okay.
go into the access to high-speed internet, and then the K areas language that we already added.
Okay. The last paragraph, I'm talking out loud to my fellow commissioners. Salina has aggressively pursued economic development tools. And I don't know, they haven't all been in public-private partnerships. Because we haven't mentioned our downtown renovation at all in here. Which is, I had something here such as Salina has aggressively pursued economic development tools such as star bonds, IRBs, CID, BID, TIF, and new market tax credits, period. And took out the public-private partnerships.
Yeah. That works.
Mm-hmm.
You said IRB, CID, BID, TIF, and what?
New market tax credits.
I'm sorry?
New market tax credits.
Well, we've added public-private partnerships in several other places, so I think we got our point across on that.
Yeah, I think-
So I don't have a problem removing that and
That-
adding some different syllables.
Okay.
You know, when you get to the alphabet soup of
Yeah, I
economic
know.
development, it's kind of like, where do you stop? Because,
Yeah.
you know, you could be TDD or TID. I mean, there's just, you know, it's like, how many do you include? But I think those are all good, and that would make that paragraph stronger.
Yeah, thank you.
And new markets tax credits.
All right.
Okay, I got it.
Government, I'm okay with, I think. With your changes and stuff, or what we did, so.
Let's make sure we didn't get those changed.
Mayor, may I ask a question that relates to the government section?
Absolutely.
Chris, oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Chris, this is Greg. I asked the mayor if I could ask a question related to the end statement of the government section, will a candidate at this stage wish to know whether that the city does have a for cause requirement in its personnel manual that does cause due process to attach?
I think that's more in the weeds than that needs to be in a promotional brochure.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, that person's gonna be educated to that portion of the handbook by his august and erudite legal counsel
There
when
you
he
go.
arrives, so.
Well, I just wanted to make
Plus, I don't
sure-
think, I've worked in states that are at will and those that aren't, and to be honest with you, it's pretty standard. I don't know any city manager, I know some city councils that will just fire without cause and not say a cause, but I don't know many city managers that take action on employees without cause.
Yeah, I understand.
Mostly those would be reduction in forces or layoffs or anything like that, but typically city managers, don't fire without cause.
Yeah, the earlier
They just
discussion
don't.
prompted me to want to be sure you were aware of that as you make that, as you evaluate that, so that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's good to know that it's in the handbook and it's codified. Certainly if that's something that a candidate addresses or has a question about, I'm glad to know that and can certainly explain that. But for purposes of the promotional brochure, I'm not sure we need to get into the detail of what it takes in a handbook to accomplish that removal of a particular employee, if that makes sense.
Yes, thanks.
And Bill, I would suggest, I will add, I think it makes sense the more I think about it, under the departmental highlights where you were talking about daily office duties. I actually liked your statement about just saying, works with that, outline the staff of the department. And so I would add that as the first bullet, and then the multi-year shilling bullet would be the second bullet. Does that help you a little bit?
Yeah, I still think the contamination thing will scare people.
Well, again, when I was there last, we asked for that to be mentioned. So now we're saying we don't want it mentioned. So I don't care whether you want to mention it or not. I personally, my opinion is it won't scare any decent candidate away. It might just spur them to ask the question, and then when they ask the question, they get the explanation, and the explanation shouldn't scare anybody, because as we know, it's pretty much a done deal. You just need to be aware that you're going to have issues, oversight on that occasionally as part of the gig.
Yeah, and
It is a $65 million deal, so it is a big deal.
It is, and in that total budget number, the 151 million, that 65 is included in that.
Again, it's still money they got to account for that'll be in their budget document, that'll be in all of their disclosures and things like that. So I don't think it's confusing to have that in there.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Michael, I was just thinking about that as I turned the page. I didn't know if you were actually done on that last page on government or not.
Yes, yes.
So I guess we're on to that next page. If you have things on that page that you're back on the mic.
Okay, departmental highlights in arts and humanities, and I don't know if we take it for granted, maybe it's not a big deal, I'm just asking you if we should put on there, we put the festival's 50th, should it be the Smoky Hill River Festival's 50th? And then it says the museum's 40th, we have multiple museums, so it would be the Smoky Hill Museum's 40th. I just didn't know if we wanted to be a little more precise on those.
I would think so.
The Smoky Hill Festival's 50th.
The Smoky Hill
and
River, the Smoky Hill River Festival's 50th, and the Smoky Hill Museum's 40th.
the Smoky Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Let's see. And I guess I wish I had Debbie in here. I'll look at fellow commissioner. Says improve, and under Parks and Recreation, it has improvement to parks and recreation, open spaces and facilities with sales tax proceeds. Do we just use sales tax proceeds? We put that, is it 500,000 a year over into the maintenance fund?
Well, we struck that.
Yeah.
We
Okay,
struck
you
the
did.
sales tax
Okay.
last time.
Okay.
But that's gone.
Out of there.
It was on mine here, the newest one, I thought. Okay. Support the Parks and Recreation Master Plan to continue to address, that didn't, there's two twos right there. Support the Parks and Recreation Master Plan continuing to address deferred maintenance.
Yeah.
Take out the first two and put in there, instead of continue, put continuing
Continuing addressing deferred maintenance.
addressing deferred maintenance. Yeah, that sounds even better. Continue.
Done.
Okay, thank you. We, then on the next, under public safety, we talk about the police department being accredited. I think the fire department's accredited also. Should that be listed in there?
Yep.
Yeah, I just don't have any information. No one has ever given me anything from fire to
Our
to
EMS
do that.
definitely is.
Okay, we'll get something to you on that.
Yeah, I'll just add a bullet.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Right, fire and EMS.
Oh, I'm gonna put a note on their fire department accreditation on that. But I'll need the official term for it if somebody will send me that.
Okay. Under Public Works, the second water treatment plant, that's done, isn't it? Should that be removed?
Yeah.
The second water treatment plant, that's already been accomplished, that's up and running, so I think that can be removed.
I made that initial suggestion in that that's kind of a nice,
It's not,
Feature.
it's something we've done, but this is talking, I don't know, are we talking about things, I guess,
Well, department highlights, I read it as just things that should be showcased in each department.
I'd put in there then, second water treatment plant recently completed.
Okay,
If we could do that, I think that would sound better. Okay,
okay, no problem.
perfect, thank you. I had a couple.
To the next page?
Yeah, I had just a couple comments under essential job functions or questions.
Okay,
Effectively conduct studies and investigations. Is that,
Too vague.
what is,
Or kind of
is that just, what is that? Is that,
that, it is a wide-ranging things.
Okay.
I mean, you might be doing a study on, whether we can save time by
okay. So just-
instituting electronic timesheets for various positions,
Okay.
or do we do a study on whether we can cut costs in the fire department by changing our 7K day exemption to, if we have, let's say that you had an overtime issue and you didn't know why it was, over what you may have budgeted, so you might do a study or an
Okay.
investigation as to the data.
Perfect. Okay, that's just, the other thing is, we had effectively there in like 4 different bullet points.
Yeah, again, it comes from the job description, and those often read like that. I mean,
Yeah,
I could certainly come up with different
I would
adjectives or
probably,
adverbs
like, at least on the one I would put on there, possesses the ability to effectively communicate orally and in writing.
Okay,
And then instead of, again, I'd put in there, has the ability to organize and prioritize the business of the city.
say what you wanted on that.
Instead of effectively organize, I put in there, has the ability to organize and prioritize the business of the city and provide timely follow-through to resolve issues before the city. It just,
I'm gonna be honest, you could take out all 4 of those effectively, because I don't think we wanna hire somebody who's
Yeah.
only so-so. at
that's what I like, I just didn't like,
communicating
yeah,
orally.
that's, I'm okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, I take out the effect, I just effectively conduct studies and investigations,
Yeah.
okay, but listens to the city commission, citizens and staff.
Do I leave one effectively in there and
Yeah.
take out the others?
Yep, I would.
I'd say just take
Okay,
out the
done.
effectively.
Then the other one is, speaks clearly and concisely before groups. Is that a redundancy of above where it says communicates orally and in writing effectively? So there you may need it. Possesses ability to communicate orally and in writing.
Just say, outreach to community groups, or ability to speak clearly and concisely to community groups.
Okay, I guess. It just seemed like that, but that's getting nitpicky, so, okay, I'm okay with the rest of that.
Okay. Last page.
I had to look up the definition of, what?
Good.
Definition of ethos, or ETHOS, if that's how you pronounce it.
Correct.
Maybe that tells us somebody smarter than I am, they know what that is, so.
Where is it again?
Well, I know that's not true because I'm the one who put that word in there.
Point to where it is again.
This second bullet point, far right.
Okay.
I mean, that comes from our conversations, our individual conversations, where we talked about how we want this person to be constantly improving. It's kind of a succession planning thing, but it's also, hey, we want this person to provide mentorship and to department heads, and that you want them to be somebody that supports their department heads in their professional journey and sends them to conferences and finds the money to support
I
their
just
growth.
had never used the word before, I had to look it up.
It's
Well,
gaining popularity.
you know-
I'm seeing it more in publications. I personally, I like the word.
Yeah, I'm
But
fine,
I'd
I'm
be
fine with it,
alone.
I just didn't know what it was.
While we're on that set of bullets, I guess I was expecting to see the MPA as the preferred out front, with the bachelor's would be accepted with suitable, comparable experience, or however you word it. This really says, well, all you need is a bachelor's. I mean, yeah, we'll take an MPA, we'll take a PhD, but I mean, I just wanted to make clear that we're setting the bar high. And if you don't have that, then really show us what you have in exchange for it.
It's pretty darn standard in most job descriptions or job advertisements. It's not unusual if someone's saying that the minimum qualifications is a bachelor's degree, they often will follow that with a sentence that says MPA is preferred but not necessarily required. Well, I could say, but
I mean,
the bachelor's degree,
if that's industry speak and everybody who sees this knows what it means, I'm fine.
They know that the MPAs are going to be have a leg up on someone that just is applying with a bachelor's degree. And it also is when we start looking at at ranking and making selections to winnow down the field of candidates, you know, it's going to be very clear that the higher ranked candidates obviously are going to score better in that category, so they'll be higher ranked. And if there is a question about, well, why did a particular candidate not make it versus another, it's one way to differentiate between the two is you say, well, one has a much stronger educational background, and that's something that we said in the job that we would prefer. We didn't necessarily say you couldn't apply for this job with a bachelor's, but we made it very clear that an MPA is preferred.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I think part of my brain keeps thinking, oh wow, we're sending this out to the Chamber of Commerce of every city in the United States, but it's really going to just a very narrow group of folks who are used to looking at these things.
That's a good point.
I mean, I certainly think you're giving enough information to have them when they do their own research. They've got enough in this document that they can, and the good candidates will show you throughout the process that they are doing that research, and we've triggered them to enough of the activities that are going on and a flavor of the community. I think you've got it in spades already.
All right.
So here at the bottom, how to apply, you gotta, please email your resume by Friday. What date? How long will you typically, once this is out the door? 3 weeks, 2 weeks?
Well, once, the reason it's blank is because we didn't know when it's going to be approved
Right.
and when we can actually begin to advertise it.
That's my question is, what is the?
Yeah, well, it's a minimum of 30 days once we start advertising. You know, it usually takes a couple days to make sure you have the ads in all of the different places where we're marketing, and so that can take a day or two. So, and 30 days is typically a good, you know, 2 weeks. We wouldn't get the quality and depth of candidates because, first of all, you need the job open long enough that there might be somebody in the 2 week period, say, that isn't really looking, but maybe gets our LinkedIn advertisement and goes, oh, wait a minute. And if we do 2 weeks, we're just not giving enough time for that to really kind of filter to the various constituencies that we're trying to reach.
Well,
And so
I had no idea, that's why I asked, but I feel like we're 30 days behind on this process already. So I'd like
I
to
still
see-
recommend 30 days from when this is approved and when I'm
Yeah,
given
so I
permission
guess
to
my
actually
point
use
is
this
I'd like to get
document.
this out the door.
I think we are probably on the same page, which that segues into, well, let me ask Mr. Lowe, I mean, if with these changes, how long do you think you could have a finished product for us to view?
The designer today, she and I'll meet either tonight or tomorrow, make these changes, and I'll have it back to you hopefully by tomorrow, close of business.
Okay.
But I just say that with the one caveat that I know her schedule this evening. I don't know what it is tomorrow, but it shouldn't take long to make these. I just need the longer sentences that Commissioner Hoppick had. I'll need those as soon as possible. So as soon as I get those, I'm ready to go with her with the other changes that I've made, and we'll be able to make those changes in probably, I'll have one meeting with her to get them all done, and then it should be ready to go.
Well, I'd like to go back to page 5 real quick. I hate to get hung up on the pictures, but this picture in the lower left, we could do a whole lot better than that. It just shows a rooftop, and if we could find an aerial of Santa Fe lit up at night to complement this picture on the right of the building.
Who would have that?
Just so you know, I didn't ignore you, Bill. I did actually look for Santa Fe pictures. There's nothing on a city-owned site that has a real what I would say is a really good picture of Santa Fe Street. So if you want to swap something out with that, you all are going to have to find one, because I could not find one that I thought was any better than what's there.
We will all send Natalie our best Santa Fe at night picture, and she can pick one and send it to you.
Well,
I know I got at least 20 of them, but
yeah.
because it's
I just
gorgeous.
am telling you that
It
the
is.
sites that are accessible to me through the public websites that are affiliated with the city does not have a good Santa
That's
Fe
a money
picture
shot
on it.
right there.
Whoa, that is.
Well, I
nice.
imagine there's some copyright issues as well. You can't just grab any image off a line. It's,
There's some good pictures out there, but those are all copyrighted. The ones that I could get access to, I just didn't have one that I thought was all that great.
I like that. Well, yeah, we can,
And sometimes pictures that maybe somebody takes on their phone or even their own personal camera, sometimes those pictures don't have the level of quality needed. Like when they're transferred into a document like this, they kind of are blurry or don't look as good. But if I can get the designer to use something that you all like, I'm happy to swap that one out.
Mayor, briefly, just back on the candidate profile, the last bullet, we had talked about qualifications, and as written, this actually would exclude an internal candidate depending upon interpretation. So I didn't know if we needed to review what we mean by as an assistant or deputy in a larger community. Larger than Salina or in a moderate size with particular population. We had talked about this when we started this process, but and I'm on the back page, page 8 on the last bullet before we get to the how to apply section.
well, thank you for bringing that up, first of all.
Just strike in a larger and just provide as an assistant or deputy in a community of equal complexity.
Works for me.
Would that suffice?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
The nice thing about that is complexity is in the eye of the beholder.
Thank you again for catching that, Natalie. So is there a date later in the week that we're all available?
I guess my question is, if we all are sent this back and there's minimum or no changes, do we need another meeting, or can we just answer him back individually as not to have a serial meeting?
No,
No, we need to meet again.
yes,
Okay.
Could we just call a quick online meeting?
no. You don't meet unless, well, and I'm sorry, maybe I should clarify. When you say online, you mean all of you,
An official meeting
all of
via
you,
Zoom.
but also broadcast and available to the public in the same fashion as
Right.
if you were all here.
Is that a yea or nay?
That, I believe, is allowed as long as all of the public access is maintained.
It'd be more complicated than just
I'll be here.
showing up. Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, I just emailed you a picture, and I just texted the photographer to ask permission, so it's a gorgeous shot.
Should we try to meet later this week?
That's kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Because if they need a couple days, I mean, so in theory, Thursday or Friday would be possibly, I mean, I know we're butting into a holiday weekend, so Friday maybe,
I'd say Thursday.
Thursday seems a little more conducive to,
There's an open house
We
Thursday,
have
an
that
airplane,
airplane ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
airplane, then there's something 2 hours after that. Now, unless, I'll just throw this out, I'm free during lunch hour from 12 to 1. I mean, I can ship, here and there, but I'm assuming this is gonna be a fairly short meeting.
Should be.
Could you connect on Zoom?
Like 12, 15?
That'd work for me.
I'll be available. Yeah, it won't be a problem.
Wednesday? I can do Wednesday, or Thursday at noon.
Thursday at noon works for me.
Yeah.
Can you make that work?
Yeah,
Okay.
prefer like 7 in the morning, but we'll make noon work.
I'd be with you.
So you also don't, as long as you have a quorum, if somebody needs to miss, you can still do it. If not, I mean, especially if they don't have any substantive or changes that they want to see.
Do you think you can turn this around by Wednesday night?
Just emailing, I just sent that picture that you sent me to the designer, and I'm asking her if I can meet sometime tomorrow. My middle son's graduating high school tomorrow, so I'm a little tied up with family in town, but I will make time to get this done at some point tomorrow if she's available. And Michael, if you could make sure you tell me the edits, if you could just specify where they are,
Okay.
because I don't want to put them in the wrong order. I mean, I think I've got pretty good notes on it, but
Okay.
anything you can do to make sure I'm in the right place when I make those edits, that'd be helpful, because I'm trying that we don't have to make any more
Yep, I do have-
changes again.
Yep,
So
I have an-
if I can get this as buttoned up as I can,
I
that
have an
would be
engagement here
helpful.
in a little bit, but I'll either get those over to you yet tonight or by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Okay, so I will try and meet with her tomorrow at some point, and I'll go through all of these with her, and we'll try and get all of them, and then I'll have that to you as soon as she can have those. She's usually pretty quick turning it around. Once I give her those, I'll probably get it in a few hours after I've given her the changes. So I would think, my goal is to have it to you by the end of business tomorrow, but that is subject to her availability, and also making sure that I can get some time out of my personal obligations tomorrow to get it done, but I should be able to do it. It shouldn't take that long. These aren't that these aren't that extensive, so most of them are pretty easy fixes. So I'd hope to have it for you by the end of the day tomorrow, by Wednesday for certain.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, anything else?
Natalie, yes.
Is anything additional?
Only the process for the interim city manager evaluation. If you would care to plan going forward, how or how not the commission wishes to handle that. His evaluation due date, as you might recall, is May 1. So that was built into his agreement.
So the question I have, so we're essentially, are we evaluating him solely on the deputy city manager position, or also his time as interim? Or, like, I didn't think to ask that until after we.
That's a good question. I think you would have the ability to do what you would prefer. I don't know how much of an opportunity you really had to observe him in the deputy role. So you really are probably more directly involved with his interim role. But again, that would be your prerogative.
So in the past, would that have been Mike's plate to
Yes.
do that by May 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have any vacant study session slots open in the next? Of course, we don't meet regularly anymore this month. So we're gonna be a month late anyway, unless we pull another special meeting.
Yeah, well, and I guess something to consider is you would have the opportunity to defer the evaluation and choose at a different point in time to handle that. The only downside in doing that would be your different options and what that looks like in the future. If he is a candidate for the city manager role, that's one thing. If he is not a city manager in the future, then what that looks like and who handles the evaluation in the future could be complex as well, so.
So it's best to get it done soon and done.
So we,
Yeah, and when we appointed him as intern, he emphasized that he wanted to maintain that date.
That's a good point.
So we don't meet till the second Monday in June.
No, we
no,
meet
we June 2nd. and then
June,
June
that's right, the
11th.
first.
We have the, yeah, we meet June
That's
2nd.
right, to make it up,
and we're gonna meet June, I think June 2nd, 9th, and 16th.
yeah.
Is that right?
There's 3 meetings in June.
Is there a study session already set?
Most of the study sessions are full because we're getting full
Oh,
budget.
for budget. Well, just tack it on to the end of the regular meeting. I mean, that's what we've usually done as a executive session.
Yeah, because that's an executive session, yeah.
So just do it on June 2nd.
Makes sense to me. Would that work?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay.
And just in terms of if you have previously used a form for the city manager role in the past, if you want to work from that form, I can provide it. If you want to do a different form, that is your prerogative as well, and I can try to assist.
That's a really long form.
We're essentially evaluating 3 months.
Well, if something can't be evaluated, you just put not unable to evaluate, but it, you know, the form is not so much important as our final impression at the end. So we can use the form as a guideline. Or we're gonna have to come up with a different form. It may be easier now just to
Use what we have.
use what we have.
Because are we talking about the merit raise? What are we talking about? Or are we just talking about his evaluation? Because it seems awkward to me to do an evaluation if he applies for the city manager job. It almost seems.
But we won't know that because
Yeah,
good
it
chance
won't-
this
this won't be
won't be out in the
closed.
street
Right.
before then.
Well, and I think that we should be taking the same approach that City Manager Mike Scragg would have taken had he been here.
Well, but we're evaluating him. Mike would be doing this because we're doing this evaluation as if it was Mike, correct? See, this isn't what, so.
I thought that when, and I might remember it different than you, Bill, but when we talked about this, I do remember it coming up as a potential. I thought he was okay with foregoing it. I don't know where to go back because I don't think that was on record. It was executive session, so.
I think he wanted it in case he was not the next permanent city manager, his evaluations as deputy would continue
Right.
in line as they should have been.
But we can't give an evaluation on him as a deputy.
Well,
It's,
it'd be difficult for, I
Look at
mean,
Mr. Big City.
we
back
could,
there,
but I mean,
what, I'm trying to figure, so are we evaluating him as deputy or as interim? Because,
My understanding was that it was in the role of interim city manager.
okay,
Is that consistent with your understanding?
okay.
seems reasonable to me.
all right.
Does not your standard situation. We'll just adapt and move accordingly. But just use the old form.
Yep.
So, yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have it.
Yep, and as you review that, if you identify sections that's either not relevant or you just haven't had a chance to observe that, yeah, you could just remove those sections and
Okay.
provide feedback on the areas that you have been able to observe.
I think we'll figure it out.
Yep.
Absolutely. So we're in agreement on Thursday at noon, and we're in agreement on the executive session on the first meeting in June.
I think I'm going that too, but there'll be 4 of you.
We'll find you. We'll zoom you in.
Yeah, you can always do old school
You're
speakerphone,
Paraguay.
Okay.
Okay.
Charlie's Angel style.
Right.
Okay, anything else? I think that concludes our study session. Thanks. And thank you again, Mr. Lowe.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.